Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the new M.A.R.S system because some of the JP official creators actually were invited to Sega's headquarters to actually test it out, so we do have some footage of it. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to get out of the way are, of course, the shoutouts as well as credits. So first of all is, of course, Vixie for actually giving me all the different links. As you can see right here, they actually provided me all three of the videos from the JP creators. The JP creators themselves, of course, big shout out to you guys for actually creating the videos so that we can all see what's going on. And then, of course, another big shout out to Kathy over here, as they do an amazing video on a breakdown on how every single individual weapon works, as well as the sub weapons, as well as the skill tree. So if you are looking for a very concise breakdown of everything, I highly recommend you guys to watch Kathy's video over here, as they do translate all the Japanese into English. And yeah, I'll leave their video link in the description below. Now, before we jump into all of the flashy B-roll, I do want to talk about what the M.A.R.S system actually is, what it stands for, and what weapon choices as well as sub-weapon choices we actually have. So as we can see here on the PSO2 NGS wiki, the M.A.R.S system is an acronym for the Multi-Role Arcs Reactive System. So this is basically it's like a dark blast for those who have played the base game. For those who've never played the base game, just think of it as getting a giant mecha robot that we can just blast through things and kill things really quickly. Now, do keep in mind that we do get to pick two main weapons. So the first weapon is Garm. Garm is basically a gigantic sword. Then we have Nidhogger over here, which is basically a scythe. So think about Phantom playstyle, so we can actually apply like a debuff, sort of like gelin on the enemy, which reduces the damage we take from that specific enemy. And after they get a number of stacks, you can activate it and you deal more damage to that specific enemy. So that's really cool as well. Then of course we have the Hydra, which is our range cannon, which shoots faster the longer you hold down the attack button. And we can also hold down the weapon action to shoot a gigantic laser beam. It looks more like a railgun shot towards the enemy, and you get a really cool audio cue as well. And then the last weapon we have is the Scylla over here. It's kind of like a spaceship thing. Personally, I don't really know much about the Scylla. It doesn't seem like my playstyle. I think I'm probably going to be going with the Garm as well as the Nidhogger. Mainly Nidhogger because I just like the idea of having a scythe and swinging it around, debuffing enemies and dealing more damage. That just sounds really fun. But those are the main four weapons that you can pick. Remember, you can pick 2 out of the 4 weapons. Then on top of that, there are the sub-armaments. So these are basically utility things which allow you to move faster, dodge more, sidestep more often, and just gives you a little bit more options to avoid damage altogether. However, it doesn't end there. We have a gigantic skill tree. So in the live stream, we actually only saw the top 4 rows over here, which was of course the Garm, the Nidhogger, the Hydra, as well as the Scylla. You got to see all of the different abilities over there. There's 1 point each, so it's really easy to unlock all of these skills. However, if you scroll down a little bit more, there's actually potency up, there's PP up, there's critical hit rate up, there is critical damage up. So there are some really cool stuff over here, which I think will provide a lot of value. And many of these skills down here are actually 30 points. So in order to increase your critical chance by an additional 10% over here, you are going to need to earn more skill points, as it does cost 30 skill points to get this 10%. Then let's say that you want the crit damage over here of another 10%, that's another 30 points. Now, from what I've seen from Kathy's video over here, there is a drop-off point at 20 skill points. So when you put in 20 skill points, you probably get like 8% crit rate as well as 8% crit damage, probably somewhere in that ballpark figure. And then if you just really want that last 2%, then you can invest the other 10 skill points onto that. So there is sort of like a sweet spot. However, if you just really want that crit damage as well as crit chance, you can always max those out. Because remember, with the M.A.R.S skill tree, you can freely allocate your skill points however you want, very easily. So that's really good. Now, as for the key points, we will be going through Kathy's video over here, as they do sum it up really well. So the very first thing we need to understand is the M.A.R.S system goes off a battery system. So basically, you get this battery, it slowly charges up over time. So time is the only factor that matters in order to charge up the M.A.R.S system. Now, there are battery packs in certain game modes such as Nameless City, where you can just go off immediately, pick up that battery pack, and it charges a set amount for your M.A.R.S system so that you can maybe immediately use it. But basically the TLDR is After 9 minutes of charge time, you can use the full duration of the M.A.R.S system, which lasts for 2 minutes. Now you do need to wait for 2 minutes and 15 seconds for the minimum amount of battery charge, which allows you to go into the M.A.R.S system for 30 seconds. So honestly, I feel like the 30 seconds thing is actually really powerful, especially when you're doing like harder content. Let's say that you're doing MDFA or Darkfall Solace and stuff like this. You know, I personally think that 2-minute 15-second mark is actually really good, because most people's burst windows are usually less than 30 seconds anyway. Like, you know, you break a boss or you down a boss and it's exposed this weak spot. It doesn't expose it longer than 30 seconds for the majority of the fights. So personally, I think that you should use this window to utilize that 30 seconds to deal insane amount of damage. And remember, you can activate and deactivate your M.A.R.S system at any time. So let's say that you did wait 9 minutes and you have a full 2-minute duration of M.A.R.S. Let's say that the boss goes down, you activate M.A.R.S, the boss gets back up, you deactivate M.A.R.S, and you still retain the battery charge that's left over, and it just continues charging from there. So the M.A.R.S system is incredibly flexible with your playstyle, and personally I think this is a great system. Now, as we can see over here, Kathy does a breakdown of the sub-weapons or the subsystems over here. So as I said earlier, they're basically utility to make your life a little bit easier. So if you want a little bit more mobility, you want to go with Fenrir. If you want to go with a little bit more defensive stats, then you can go with the Fafnir. And of course, if you want to go with more sustainability, you can go with the Lindworm. Personally, I'm probably going to be going with the Fenrir because, well, I'm going to be up in front of the enemy 90% of the time since I am a braver main. However, if you are playing a range class, or if you're using the Hydra weapon, for example, you might want to consider going the sustain route, because what you can do with the Hydra is you can actually heal your teammates as well as increase their PP or help them regenerate PP faster. So even though Hydra primarily is like a cannon and a range weapon, you can also use it to support your allies, which is actually really cool and really useful. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is of course the M.A.R.S skill point, because as I showed earlier right here, the skill tree, you know, you're going to need to earn a lot of these skill points, especially if you want all that crit rate as well as crit damage, and maybe you want some extra PP up. This is actually insane. Increases maximum PP by 300. This is actually like an absurd amount. So basically every point you're putting in here gives you 10 extra PP, which is actually insane. You've got natural PP recovery, which isn't that great. Potency increased by 10%, that's okay as well, but I just think the PP up just is insane. And then we've also got HP increased by 150%, but do keep in mind that all of these skills over here, they're based off when you're actually in your M.A.R.S system. So, you know, you're not actually going to have 300 extra PP when running around not in the M.A.R.S system, so just understand that that's how the skill tree kind of works. But back to the main topic, and that is of course, where on earth are we going to be able to earn all of these skill points? Because it does not scale off our level, there's no special cocoon to clear in order to get extra skill points like our skill tree. In order to earn more M.A.R.S skill points, we are going to need to run Lucille Exploration in order to get these little capsules. I believe they're called like M.A.R.S capsules or skill point capsules or something. And as we can see right here in this screenshot, we are going to need to collect 100 of them in order to get 1 skill point. And from what I understand, you're going to need to earn more and more of these capsules in order to unlock further skill points. So maybe the first skill point's only going to cost you like 1 capsule, and then maybe like the 10th skill point's going to cost you 100 capsules, and then it just incrementally gets more and more expensive. That's what I understood from watching all of the different videos. However, again, you know, things are subject to change, and we're going to have to wait until the 31st when the system actually kicks in. But nevertheless, we are going to need to farm Lucille Exploration quite a bit in order to unlock everything in the skill tree. So are you guys excited for the new M.A.R.S system? Because I sure am, because when this comes out, I'm definitely going to be farming a ton of Lucille Exploration in order to unlock all the skill points, testing all the different combinations of weapons, and yeah, I'm pretty excited for this. And we also can use this in Crimson Realm, by the way. Crimson Realm's also going to be releasing relatively soon in the Alio region, and so there's going to be a lot of new things to farm, a lot of new things to test out, and I can't wait to do that. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.